If you're an author or a writer who is struggling to sell your book, or if you've released your book and you just aren't seeing the sales that you want to see, then I am so glad that you're here because today we are going to talk about selling your book and how to improve your book sales and to help you continuously see that growth along your book publishing journey. So my name is Jenn Hanson-dePaula and I'm the co-founder of Mixus Media. And Mixus Media exists to educate and empower authors and writers just like yourself to know exactly how to market your book and to really have the knowledge behind you to do it well. And we also exist to help teach you how to use social media and other online tools to find and connect with readers online. And I'm really good at helping authors simplify the book marketing process and connect with their readers. So if you're struggling with book marketing and want to have a simpler system to follow, be sure to download my free book marketing blueprint. It's going to help you get started and give you the guidance that you need. So let's get started. So the first tip that I want to give you centers around what I call the follow-up phase. There are 3 phases to marketing. There's the attraction phase, the promotional phase, and then the follow-up phase. The attraction phase begins the minute that you start writing your book up until about 2 months before the book releases. And then the promotional phase starts about 2 months before the book releases, really kind of depending on the marketing tactics that you have and the launch series that you have, up until about 2 weeks after the release. And then the follow-up phase is about 2 weeks after the release on. And your book has an infinite lifespan ahead of it. It really can continuously sell throughout the years. And many times when we are launching a book or when we're promoting a book, we only focus on the promotional phase. And this is a huge missed opportunity because the bulk of your sales are going to come in the follow-up phase after you release your book. So often we just put all of our eggs in the promotional phase basket right around when we're going to launch. And yes, we do want to have a good liftoff, to get our book sales going. But if you don't have a great launch or if you don't see those initial sales within the promotional phase, many times authors kind of take that as this book is a failure or it's not going to have the sales that you envisioned it to have. And that simply is not the case. This is why it's so important for you to really focus on creating a plan for the follow-up phase, because this is where the bulk of your sales are going to come. And throughout the rest of this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can actually plan for the follow-up phase. And so my second tip is to actually set a goal. I talk to so many authors who say, I just want to sell more books. And it's just a very vague goal. It's not specific. And when we have a vague goal, it doesn't give us anything to really aim at. So if you were to say, I want to sell 100 books a month for the next year, that would mean that we can break them down into even smaller goals. So that would mean that you would have to sell about 20 books a week or 2 to 3 books a day. So when you think about, okay, I just need to focus on selling 2 books a day to reach my goal, that is much more attainable rather than saying I want to sell more books. That doesn't give us anything to work with. So setting yourself a goal and then breaking it down into more attainable goals is really important. And it's also going to save your sanity. And my third tip is to continue to talk about your book on social media. Now, I know you're going to say, I've already talked about it so much, I'm sick of talking about it, or are people sick of hearing me talk about it? The answer is no. Here's the thing. When you are promoting your book and when your book comes out, that does not necessarily mean that everyone is ready to buy. Just because an author is ready to sell the book doesn't mean that your readers are necessarily ready to buy your book. And this does not mean that you've lost the sale, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to see increased sales from that. What this means is that we need to focus on the long game, the long-term goal. And that means that we have to continue to talk about it. Because this is the beauty of social media. We continuously draw in new people and they are coming into our funnel. Remember, we're leading people to a sale. Social media does not necessarily mean that you automatically have a sale. We need to usher them in and warm them up. in our sales funnel. So what we need to do is to continuously talk about the book. And that doesn't mean talking about it all the time. And I'll get to that here in a minute. But we need to talk about it so that people are aware that we're building that awareness on social media and being intentional with where we lead them. And how you can continue to talk about your book is by having content buckets. And in this video, I shared a tip on how you can actually create content buckets. And content buckets are 3 to 5 specific topics that we cycle through week after week. And what this does is it helps us to become known for something. And it gives us that structure and those parameters that we need to really create content that is going to be intentional with our social media audiences. So one of your content buckets can be to talk about your book or to talk about other previous books that you released, to keep them alive, to keep that conversation going, and to continue to drive people to your website or to your sales page so they can learn more about your book and purchase it. And within that same vein, my next tip is to continue to drive people to your newsletter. Now, your newsletter is one of your biggest marketing assets because when someone signs up for your newsletter, they're saying, I'm interested. I want to know more about you and your book. And so if you offer an incentive, that's something free to download that might share more about your book or about you or about the services that you provide, it is going to hook them, to entice them to want to sign up for your newsletter. And you can continue to warm people up through your newsletter sequence. And with your newsletter, again, this is your attentive audience. It's so much easier to sell to people who are already paying attention. So your newsletter list, they are paying attention. You have their attention. On Instagram or on social media, they are mainly window shoppers. You're still kind of warming them up. So your newsletter subscribers are your key audience and they are ready to sell. So continue to drive people to your newsletter is key. Then my last tip is to have additional promotional ideas or promotional plans in place throughout the follow-up phase. And this can even happen while you're writing your next book or while you're writing or promoting your follow-up book. These promotions are great to not only spark increase in sales, but it also gives people a reason to talk about your book, to continue to drive people to your sales page. Because when we could say, oh, my book is on sale for 99 cents for a limited time over on such and such website, it really makes people see that urgency and they want to take action, and it gives them something to talk about. And some of those promotions can be paid. So there are some great reduced price ebook sites like BookBub. And I know that BookBub can be a little difficult to get onto sometimes. And so that's kind of and that's also a very expensive promotional page. But there are 2 others that I would highly recommend. There are so many free and paid book promotional websites out there, and many of them aren't that great. And so there are a couple that I would recommend that I have seen authors see success with. The first one is bookgorilla.com. That one I've seen authors use, and what it is it lets people know about reduced prices on Kindle books or ebooks. And the same goes for thefussylibrarian.com. I've seen authors who have had some really great success with that site as well. And so also if you have other friends that are fellow authors that have a similar audience, maybe seeing if you can get them to do a swap where you promote their book on your newsletter and they promote yours as well. It's really about letting other people know that your book is for sale or that there's a special promotion behind it. The key to all of this is to have a plan in place to continue to talk about your book. So if during your promotional phase, if you weren't able to get some podcast interviews, or if you weren't able to quite get some other promotional things that you had wanted to do in place during the promotional phase, schedule them throughout the follow-up phase, because we live in a time where people need continued content for their podcasts, for their blogs, for their videos on YouTube. So seeing how you might be able to continue that conversation throughout the follow-up phase is key. Again, it's all about continuing to build awareness and being intentional with where you drive your readers. I know we all want to see these huge bumps in sales, that we want to have these promotions and these launches that sell tens of thousands of books right out of the gate. And even though that might happen, that might not. It does not mean that your book is a failure. You have to keep talking about it because you have put in a lot of time and blood, sweat, and tears into your book. And continuing to talk about it is key. And that's part of the whole strategy that you have to get in place. And so remembering that you need to continue to talk about your book is key. So in the comments, let me know what promotional ideas or tactics that you have used that have been successful. Let us know in the comments. And if you want to know more about book marketing and social media specifically for writers and authors, if you're self-published or traditionally published, if you're just starting out, or if you have many books under your belt, I share new videos every Friday here on my YouTube channel. So be sure to click like and subscribe. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Book Marketing Blueprint. My link is down below. And I'll see you soon.